How's it going, everybody? It's time we touch up our Dark Dimensions and farming priority recommendations. And this is for November 2024. So if it's now 2025 and it's March and I haven't put another one of these yet, please bother me because these things move fast, as is going to be evident when we go through this video, because the Dark Dimension options, the best options, have definitely changed drastically since our last one. And same with farming priority. A lot of things have moved quickly. I want to start with Dark Dimensions. So the criteria I go by when I'm thinking about who do I want to use for Dark Dimensions, when on the baby count, I had to do this recently for Dark Dimension 7, right? So I think availability, number one thing, can I actually unlock this character and can I build them up to such a point where they're not going to instantly fall over, say in Dark Dimension 7? Current usage, what is my usage of this character? How often do I use them? Is it daily? Is it only for war? What's going on with that? Promotions, is this a regular red star character who I could easily promote to 7 stars, put some diamonds on, or is this a dark promotion character? Future use, what is going to be the lifespan of this character? Gear cost, how much gear does this cost? So gear 219, when you're first going from Mephisto, before you're in an alliance that is established doing the highest raids, this, that, and the other, unless you're buying the passes, gear cost is super important to keep in mind because you're just not getting as much Crimson gear. But also, if you're just starting out and you're just now starting to collect Crimson gear, you don't really want to stack too much of the same sort of origin class, right? So what I'm going to do real quick, and I don't want to make this video too long because I think we just need to start doing this video more often, is I want to do a quick mock-up Dark Dimension plan for you guys. Now, I'm on DD7 right now. This is what I would do all the way down. It's what I would do all the way down. So once again, we're just going by this criteria, which I think is super important to nail down for you guys. Availability, current usage, how easy to promote them, future use, and gear cost. Let's start with the non-legendary, non-mythic city section. So just city section if you're below DD7. Now, the go-to answer for this is going to be your Spider Society team. I think that is still true. They are a raid team. We see that we're going to need them for the upcoming Battle World, which I'm just kind of starting to call Raid 2.0 at this point. And they're phenomenal everywhere in the game, whether it be War offense, Crucible defense, same sort of thing. Right now is definitely the time, if you haven't already brought Spider Societies to the moon, is the time to do it, especially for those 3 new characters. Bonus side of this is they are actually mostly skill characters. I think Peter B has 1 bio piece that is Crimson geared. The rest are kind of mixed match for teal gear and everything like that, but that's perfectly fine. So those 3 I think are absolute no-brainers. After that, I actually start looking away from Ghost and Noir at this point. Now, the future use, they still have a long lifespan. They just do. With the new information we have on Battle World that just came out, undeniable. However, we have some other city characters that also fit that bill quite easily. The newest Mystic raid team, the Night Stalkers, we have Blade and Oath here. I think having them be as big as possible is going to be super helpful for the highest level of Orcus. And the other 3 spiders, they're going to carry all the sections anyway. Another bonus is that these guys are Mystic characters. And as we're going to see, Mystic, like skill, is going to be a section that we can kind of lean into hard. So I'm going to do that. I want Blade and I want Oath for this. If you don't have these characters unlocked yet, you can just hang tight. Blade has his event running right now, so hopefully you get that unlocked. Oath is definitely going to get an event at some point, being a Scopely original character. I can just see that happening, right? So I think that's kind of the best. If you want some substitutes, there's a lot, right? We have some Hidemind characters you can throw in there if you want. I will say they wouldn't be the best inside the Dark Dimension, with the exception of Dark Dimension 8, which we're not including in this video. But you will definitely get a lot of use out of them elsewhere, okay? Other options would be bringing in more of the Spider Society, whether that be Spider-Man Noir, who's a very cheap Mystic character. He actually costs less than Blade and Oath do. You could do that. He's very good right now. I just don't think he's as good as the other 3. Ghost Spider would definitely be the first one you sub off the team for this, but she's still a very good option as well. A lot of people originally brought Superior 6, Sinister 6 members. It's not ideal for the Dark Dimension usage, and because they're more of just like a really strong War and Crucible flex team at this point, not recommended. Definitely not recommended. Okay, so let's just move on over to the non-legendary, non-mythic global section then. This one's tough because what I really want to tell you guys is to lean so hard into the Orcus team, because that's going to give you the most future use. None of them are legendary characters. There's no Dark Dimension promotion. Sorry, there's no Dark promo credit situation there. Their biggest heavy hitter is Lady Deathstrike, who's a cheap tech character. This is what I really want to lean into. Like, optimally, if you just want to hang in and wait, I would literally bring in 4 of the Orcus members. So let me find Scientist Supreme wherever she might be. She's here somewhere. Ooh, where is she? She's not super expensive, is she? Here she is. So she's a 3-piece. Like, I would definitely bring this 4-piece in if I could rewind time and do things differently. I had other tech characters I brought in when I did DD7. I ended up going in there with Extreme, no Gambit, no Cyclops. Instead, I had Black Panther Shuri, who was a Mystic character, and Black Knight, and it was a horrible experience. Extreme is supposed to be greatness. It wasn't, because the charges from Sunspot, there's a bug where if he is killed from a permanent kill ability, you just lose it. So I actually would suggest, hey, the Orcus team is by far the best team to go in there. If you wanted to avoid taking too much tech, don't bring Omega Sentinel. Instead, go ahead and grab yourself a nice helping of Nightcrawler. Just an absolutely amazing character. I would have loved to have done the nodes with this team here instead of what I brought in. Would be absolutely chef's kiss wonderful. There's a lot of alternatives to Global, though. Global is by far the most moving, if you will. Until you get to, like, when we had to split it up for a Villains Global and Heroes Global, it gets more prescriptive there. But for Dark Dimension 7 and down, lots of options. Black Knight is a great option, though he's a Dark Promotion character. He fills a lot of other great criteria. That's reasons why we want to build him up. But for early game, mid game, trying to get to the Mephisto, I'm not sure Black Knight helps you in that regard. Helps you with Skrull, this, that, and the other, right? The Illuminati team, we now know that we're going to be able to farm Hank in Battleworld. Shuri is going to be farmable somewhere else soon, I suspect. Captain Britain's going to be getting some events, but then he's going to be vaulted. This is another amazing team you could lean into. And then we talked about the Extreme team. Another team that I used on my first run was Cabal. So that was Iron Patriot, Leader, and Namor. This is a Crucible team. This is a pretty decent war team. But most importantly, this is an Old Man Logan unlock team. So building them up super big does not hurt you either. They need somebody to help them out. So if I wanted to say I didn't want to bring as much tech in, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to grab the 2 reworked Orcus characters, and then I would go Cabal from here. So I have lots of villains, and I have a nice split of the type of gear I'm taking. So I have 3 tech characters, I have a bio character, and I have another mutant character. But just being completely unbiased, the best solution is going to be our Orcus team with Nightcrawler. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so I gave you a bunch of options there. Let's speed this up a little bit. Non-mythic, non-cosmic. This one is really easy. It used to be Vol or Bust. It's not really Vol or Bust anymore until we see some sort of rework for this character. Her use is done. Like, we don't get to use her in the raids anymore once you have the Night Stalker team, so it just doesn't make much sense. However, the new raid team, the new arena team, the Annihilators, they're a no-brainer, and they're nice and kind of all over the board. We got skill, we got 2 bio characters, so that's really helpful. We're going to be able to lean into a very cheap Mystic character now, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange only costs 2 pieces. He's Mystic. We don't have too many Mystics yet. I love this character. Farmable, reworked. He's kind of like Lady Deathstrike. Doesn't hit nearly as hard as Lady Deathstrike does, but he's on that Astral team, and we know that Astral team, part of that Raids 2.0, where we're going to be using them for Battle World. So I really do like him as the 4th pick to go along with that, and for at least now, I'm still pretty partial to bringing in Kang. Kang is a tech character. I really like his use. He kind of goes along with those Cabal members as their like unofficial leader, gets them ready by giving them a very early speed up in either Crucible or War, and then he does an amazing ult, Terminator Rewind. So I still really like Kang for this. There are some raid characters that I'm ignoring here that you might want to lean into depending on the type of gear you're getting. So right here, our gear split isn't the best right now, right? We got 6 tech characters already, Kang being a tech character, so that's going to be something that you're going to have to kind of decide for yourself. But I think that's the best alternatives that people could lean into. Moondragon, another phenomenal skill character. If I wanted to bring her over Kang, I think that makes sense. So we have 2 Astral characters with the 2 Annihilators, and that would be just a monstrous, monstrous team. For the normal person, you probably don't want to bring Kang. Like, Kang is great. His legendary unlock helps you get Nova, but Nova's not the best anymore. So let's make this change on the fly. I think this is probably the best Cosmic Team for future-proof use and for daily use. So by my own criteria, I think I have to concede that fact and go with that, unfortunately. All right, Legendary section. The Legendary section is kind of crap. If you didn't unlock Old Man Logan, this section's super tough in Dark Dimension 7. It's easy in Dark Dimension 6. But yeah, it's tough in Dark Dimension 7. You have to... Old Man Logan has to be on this list for any normal person who has the ability to get him. I'm sure his event is going to run again soon, and I think it's going to be permanent next time. They've run him way more often than they did Green Goblin Classic. After that, I kind of start leaning into the characters that I know I have to build. I know I have to build Red Hulk. You have to build Red Hulk to get your Apocalypse. You have to build him to Gear Tier 17, so bring him to Gear Tier 18, Gear Tier 19. I think does help. Well, we should talk about the Skrull requirements after this. Red Hulk, he's such a valuable character to be used along with Apocalypse that I have to give him the nod. Him and Old Man Logan actually very, very good together in Dark Dimension 7. If you haven't started Dark Dimension 7 yet, wait for Shadow King. Wait for Shadow King. Get the Shadow King unlock. We'll have guides out on how to do that. He would by far be like the number 2 best character to bring. You're going to be using the Battle World again, Raids 2.0. So we want to lean into that. After that, it starts getting a little trickier because we kind of run out of the highest value characters. Like we run out of arena characters, we run out of raid characters, and now we're starting to look at the best flex characters in the game, like characters I'm using for War and for Crucible. And in my mind, for my money, I think I get the most value out of Green Goblin for this. He's not the newest legendary. Well, technically he's the newest legendary to be on a team like that. But, you know, like Black Bolt and Iron Man, they're both on the Illuminati team. Iron Man gets kicked off if you want to bring Captain Britain there. So they are great options, but they don't give the same value to their team that Green Goblin gives, if that makes sense. And for that same reason, Doc Ock, bringing Doc Ock with you into Dark Dimension is going to make your journey so much easier. So much easier. But I don't find Doc Ock gives enough to his team to warrant this expensive level of tech gear, especially if I want to go with the Orcus characters. So this might throw everyone off a little bit. I didn't bring Black Cat for my first run on the baby account. I brought her for the second run on the baby account, and it was night and day difference. It was insane, the difference that it made. All right, one thing I want to do a quick little shout out to is if we switch this over to Dark Dimension 6, you're going to see that we get to non-Horseman Legendary as one of the sections, right? So what I would do for this section is I'm going to switch this up a little bit. We'll do it fast. I would do Old Man Logan. I would wait for Shadow King. If this wants to... It doesn't want to get clicked. Old Man Logan, Shadow King, Black Cat. Since we can't use Red Hulk, it kind of gets shifted up, right? I would do Green Goblin. And this is Teal Gear we're still talking about. This one, I think Doc Ock is a perfectly acceptable answer, or either of the Illuminati members. I think that's perfectly fine. Doc Ock would give you just the most benefit. This would just be for Skrull. So there is a difference, I suppose. Let's go back to Dark Dimension 7 for a second. For the Mythic section, I just got through the Mythic section, and I'll tell you right now, guys, the Mythic section is just the Apocalypse and Skrull section. That's what it comes down to. After that, your best bet is just to kind of pick the 2 characters that you can bring up as far as gear goes. You're going to suffer through this until you get to the second run, right? I brought up Kestrel. She's cheap, skill, and tech, so you can do that. If you have more Mystic gear, then you can lean into either of these 3. Obviously, Odin's not a real option here. So I went in with Ultimus and Kestrel on my baby account. I got through it in I think about 8 attacks. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It wasn't super fun either. On my main account, I had to go with a similar team because they haven't really added many Mythic characters, right? But I had Doom over Kestrel. If I were to evaluate which run felt better, 100% my first run where I brought Doom instead of Ultimus, it felt better. The Doom ult bringing you for the ride, well, it couldn't really argue the value that gave. But I do have some caveats there. The biggest one being that my Doom and Skrull, when I first ran it, they had giant red stars, right? A new player, you won't have red stars on both Apocalypse and Skrull. You just won't. And Skrull just costs so much. So I think Ultimus is probably the best bet. He is DPCs as well, so that promotion use isn't great here. But also, when I think about current usage for Doom, I barely use Doom these days on the big account, let alone the small account. I never use him. Ultimus, I use him every day in either War or Crucible. He's so cheap to upgrade with those very valuable dark promotions or dark diamonds that I think it's just easier to build him up. So I think this is still the right call for future use, for promotional reasons. This to me makes the most sense. So that's going to be it for the Dark Dimension 7 and below recommendations as far as I'm concerned. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about what we just went over, please let me know in the comment section below. We can get to that. We're 15 minutes in, but I do want to get this video for you guys. So let's continue on with the farming priority. We're going to have to get rid of our little chats here for a second. So priority farming, number one priority is going to be your raid characters to a usable level. After that, future reworks. So right now, the Astral team is coming to the game. We know that Doctor Strange and Moondragon are going to be on this team. They both exist on nodes in the campaign to farm. So getting them up is very important. Now, the new release method for characters in Marvel Strike Force, if you're not aware, is kind of an RNG orb drip. It's not the best thing in the world. The added benefit, though, if you're a new or mid-game player, you don't have these reworks built up, is you're getting a lot of those older character shards. So you don't want to farm, like hard farm, these characters to 7 stars, and then you're just getting Ultimus food from the RNG orbs that Scopely dumps on us. So instead, farming future reworks up to about like 5 star, 5.5, maybe 6 star is good. And then you can kind of let those orbs fill in as much as they can otherwise. I don't think you would get them to 7 stars off those orbs. Like, I don't think you're going to be getting 300 shards. Though, you know, between showcases, this, that, and the other, I could be off on that. But getting them up, at least, like, if you don't have them unlocked, if you don't have Doctor Strange or Moondragon unlocked right now, definitely start farming them. Get them up to at least 5 star. And then let Scopely take care of the rest. And if Scopely doesn't take care of the rest, we go back and farm some more. After that, legendary characters. So we're talking about, like, Old Man Logan. Who you need to unlock Old Man Logan? We need our Out of Time. We need our Cabal team. We need Loki. We need Emma. So I want to farm all those characters to max so I can get Old Man Logan max, and then I'm just done with that. I never have to worry about that again. Then we want to revisit raid characters. We want to max out those raid characters. There's always going to be a harder raid coming down the line. The Orcus difficulty 3 is going to be easier, I think at least, than Battle World difficulty 5, where a lot of our raid teams are so much overlap. That's why I'm calling Battle World Raid 2.0 at this point. And after that, daily use characters. So we want to look at the teams required for Battle World. We want to look at the teams we use all the time in Crucible and in War. I'm talking like Superior 6. I'm talking Annihilators, stuff like that. We want to get them maxed as fast as possible. After that, this is kind of a little contentious. Possible reworks. We know that the Thunderbolts are going to be getting a team in the future. We know that we're going to be voting on 2 reworks for that team. So a character that appears in the store, like Ghost, like Agent Venom, like maybe if I have excess, only when you have excess resources, do I want to start building those up. And I don't think I would use campaign energy, just for talking store resources. And then speaking of resources, after that we want to farm resources we use to build these characters, gear, this, that, and the other. So that's my priority farming. I do want to walk you through quickly what I do in game when I'm farming, both using energy and using store resources, right? So for the Blitz store, there's nobody that I have left to farm for this store. This is the store where you get to control everything. So raid characters like Spider-Man, Pav, Gwenom, I just farm them all the way to the top. Sunfire, he's the Alpha Flight. That is a raid team, right? Annihilators. So Silver Surfer, he's on the Annihilator team, which we know is going to be needed for the Shadow King coming legendary event. So I farmed him all the way up. So you can see that I farmed the kind of characters talking for that criteria. Namor is needed for the Old Man Logan event. I farmed up Rescue because we used to use the Pegasus team. Deathpool I just got because I like Deathpool. So you kind of see how I prioritize the Blitz store. And then I just didn't really farm. I have 7,000. I could start farming these characters. What's the point? I don't use any of these characters, so just let my Blitz currency start stockpiling up. And every once in a while, I'm buying the War Energy Refill just because I like doing extra war attacks. It's fun. The Raid Store. This is a store where you're actually going to get to max characters the fastest, which is kind of crazy. So here, I farmed Starbrand, need him for a legendary event. The other characters, honestly, I think I probably have enough to max all these characters. Yeah, look. You only need 810 shards to max out a character. So I can max out Sharon Carter right now. I can max out Daredevil right now. And the reason for this is simply because of this orb that we get. You get about 20 of these regularly just from doing your seasonal milestones. But also, if you're starting to get a little sketchy and you want to get characters faster, you can buy it for 900 of this currency. Look, I'm at 1.97 million. A true reality of Marvel Strike Force. This is going to be true when we look at the War Store and the Crucible Store. You're going to hit a moment where you no longer have to farm everything. You only have to farm one or two things. When you reach that moment and you're in an active alliance, that's the most important thing in Marvel Strike Force, is an active alliance. You will see that your store resources, in particular, the Raid Store, the War Store, the Crucible Store, you're going to be getting more currency than you can spend on character shards. So when Scientist Supreme came out, I didn't have Scientist Supreme at all. I think I had about 4 million of these raid credits. And what I did is I came in here and I just said, you know what? I'm just going to open up 1 million, 1,000 orbs. I'm just going to do it right now because I'm going to build up this currency. It doesn't matter. So you'll see, like, you will reach a point where you can just do this. And all of a sudden, like, I would have had 634 shards like this, right? So your raid store, it's the one that you're going to get maxed out the fastest because they just kind of give out too much of these raid credits. But once I have this store kind of handled as far as raid credits go, I start hard farming any sort of origin gear that I'm below 2,000 on. So, like, I'm starting to build up my Mystic team, so I will start farming these resources. Any T17s or 16s I'm below 1,000 on, I'll farm them. And any sort of Teal Unique that I'm below 100 on, I'll farm that as well. So you see I'm farming Miasma. I'm farming the Infinite Energy because I just dumped all of that into my Orcus teams. And in reality, you could probably farm up to about 120, 150 of each in case they double up on certain teams. The Arena Store. The Arena Store is a rough one because this is where you can get a lot of training materials, which is a huge resource thing, right? So you see, as far as my criteria goes for store farming, I'm kind of good on everything here. So I'm farming resources as much as possible. In particular, this L4 training module. The L3 doesn't, I mean, it gives just as much, so I guess I should just farm it. But I have all the characters that I would otherwise want. Dawkins, it may not be the case for you guys, but I really like War, I really like Crucible. So he kind of fit my daily used character slot. So I did have him maxed out, though I also got a lot of shards from him from like Mega Orbs and stuff like that. But you see I have a bunch of characters that I haven't touched. Unlike the Raid Store, the Arena Orb is not worth it, which is why these characters I have not touched at all. Age of Venom, technically he's been on a Thunderbolts team. I don't think he would be this time around. But you can see I have no interest in farming him higher whatsoever. We see a couple raid characters that I do have maxed out, and I did do it from this store. And that's kind of where my checks go. Yelena, this would be a tough one. I do think if she is reworked favorably, she could get the win because she's a beloved Marvel character because of MCU, because of Florence, I forget her last name, Pugh, I think. She would be a tough one to farm, so could you start farming her? The Arena Store would be the one store I would say, like, no, possible reworks, don't waste your Arena currency in that regard, right? All right, moving on. Oop, let's not do that. Moving on to the War Store. Like the Raid Store, you will eventually just get so much of this resource. It kind of gets doled out. The amount of characters in here are not the best ever. There are some very valuable characters in here, though. You don't see any of them here. Ghost is here, so I used all this extra resource to farm Ghost up. Other notable characters that are in here. Forge is in here. North Star is in here, so those are some raid characters. Iron Patriot is in here, so there are definitely some good characters that you should be farming from this store, but you're going to get so much war currency that you're not really going to know what to do with it. And honestly, the rest of the war store is just utter trash. Like, the raid store, I get 100, right? So I get 100 for the raid store for 3,000, which is like so little resources in comparison to getting 5 for 1750. Like, it's just not worth your resources to buy this. I would sometimes buy these just because I have such a surplus, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so you just want to make sure you're farming kind of with that criteria. Your raid characters, legendary input characters, and the characters you're using on a daily basis from this store. Crucible store. This is the store that'll take the longest for you to get to the point where you see I'm at right now, where I have Black Knight maxed out. They've been raining Black Knight shards on us for the last little bit. It might stop soon, and then farming him up will be tough, right? Leader Red Goblin. So we have raid characters, and then we have legendary input characters. You see I'm farming Quicksilver right now just because I have nothing else to do, and I know he's needed for a Battle World Spec Op, so build him up. And then you see, like, I'm not really farming much else. Other notable characters in this store. Agatha is in this store. I think that might be it. Penny is in this store. Penny is also in this store. So there's some good characters in here. We get the least amount of this resource, but after 3 or 4 Crucible seasons, maybe 4 or 5 Crucible seasons, if you can reach up to the Platinum bracket, you'll be set. If you're stuck in gold or silver, you probably need to add a couple extra seasons to that. And then there's the Ultimate Store. So I come to the Ultimate Store and I only farm the non-farmable characters. So Shuri, Black Panther Shuri, she's not farmable yet, but she was put in here for bumps. So I'll farm her for this. And other characters that I will farm would be like rework characters. So Doctor Strange recently got a rework, right, for the Astral team. And I'll go and grab him from here. Oh, thank you, Carter. Peggy Carter is also, unfortunately, in the Crucible Store. You want to make sure you're picking her up. We're going to put a list out. Ghost, one of the viewers here on Twitch, had made a great spreadsheet with all the characters that are in the stores. So I'll try and share that with you guys. If we can get something official from Scopely, I'll try and share that as well. Okay, but I just talked about Doctor Strange, right? We didn't see Doctor Strange in any of these stores. So where do we farm him? Well, the campaign nodes is where we're going to have to go for that, right? One thing you should always do whenever there's a rework is go ahead, hit the find button, and then you're going to see like where they're at. So we know Lady Deathstrike, we just saw her. We can find her in the Crucible Store, but she also has a node. This is how I farmed my Lady Deathstrike up. I got her up really high. I let the orbs trickle her the rest of the way in, and Bob's your uncle, we got her maxed out. So when characters like Doctor Strange get reworked, I come over here and I start farming their nodes up to 5.5, 6 stars. So I'm probably going to bring him the rest of the way up and then let the orbs finish him off so I'm not wasting energy. Because once again, you know, I really try and stay true to this criteria where it's raid characters, future reworks, legendary characters, but most importantly at the bottom there, that resource tab where the chat is kind of hiding it right now. I really, really, really need to be farming resources. In particular, I need to be farming training orbs. So once I kind of get these characters and raid characters, whatever I need from the campaign, I dedicate myself to only farming trading material orbs or gold orbs if I have 0 gold. If I have 0 gold, which is not the case right now, I'll kind of farm them evenly. Otherwise, I only farm these trading module orbs. There's only a few of them in the campaigns. So on Nexus Hard, which I believe you need to be level 80, at the end of chapters 1, 3, and 5, there's training orb nodes. And if you get to level 75 in the Villains United, you'll get it on chapter 7, node 6, right? This is node 6. Yes, 7, 6. And then chapter 6, node 6 as well, training orb here. And then chapter 4, node 6, it's here as well. So you should definitely kind of bookmark these characters if you want. So if you bookmark Dagger and Viv Vision, then it's just kind of an easier way to get to that, to farm it. Other things that I will use my cores on for this baby account, and I'm doing it still, more training materials, right? So we're talking about farming priority. So what to do with your cores is also extremely important. I use my cores to farm this node right here in the showcase. They seem to drop this with every single showcase. We have this for the Annihilators. We have this for the team before that. In the individual showcases, Blade's showcase in the first chapter, the last node had gold for us. In Oath, in the last chapter, she's going to have training materials for us. So I really, really, really like farming this. And that's the only reason I'm able to even make use of my gold. Gold, training materials, I really do save pretty much as possible to be leveling characters. You see, I just don't have enough to get Blade up there, but eventually I will, and then I'm going to be able to move on to the next thing, which is going to be Doctor Strange, Moondragon. I might finish up Hela for the Undying team. That's a complete luxury. Don't do that. And so on and so forth, right? And that's just how I do it. So, you know, people have been asked for this video. I hope this helps you guys out in just sort of maybe prioritizing things a little bit better for Dark Dimension and just for store priority. If you have any questions, comments, concerns that you want addressed in more depth, please let me know in the comment section below and I'll make sure to answer you. I do... Everyone who's an endgame player, earmuffs, okay? I do try and tend to answer new players who are confused or have questions or concerns more frequently and more in depth than normal, because I want to help you guys. Because the game, for all of its faults, which there are many, is incredibly fun and the community is incredibly awesome. And I'll leave it there. You guys are awesome. Stay happy, stay healthy, have fun, have yourselves a wonderful day, and we'll talk later. Bye for now, everybody. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.